Now, it doesn't matter if you have a Jeep Wrangler, a Dodge Ram, or a GMC Sierra like this one. If you like off-road lighting, specifically light bars, this video is for you. I'm going to show you how to install some light bars on this roll bar on the back of this truck. It's from Vision X, the XPR. This light bar is absolutely incredible. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to run your wiring, and then I'm going to show you where you can put your switches. Now, in other videos, we installed 2 of these light bars on our F350. We were in the middle of winter, 20 degrees below zero, driving on a lake. The light output was ridiculous. We were hitting trees from well over a mile away. This is no joke. These things are powerful. When you look on the wall, it's even brighter than your high beam headlights. Now, as you can see here, there's a little bit of gap between the high beam and the light bar itself. I might even space this one up a little bit more and then aim it down. Now, I gotta say, this is a long-range light bar. As I kept backing up, the light output of the light bar itself started getting closer and closer to the top of that high beam. So definitely go on the road, give it a couple tests to make sure you have it adjusted properly. Now, to get started, I really like to mount the light bars on the rack or wherever you're gonna put it. Every single light bar install is different. In this case, I actually had to add some spacers. Let me show you some brackets Vision X includes in the kit to find out which one you need. Now that we're at the table, let me show you just how many different ways you can actually install this light bar. For this install specifically, I'm going to install this rubber piece into here. This will make sure your vibrations aren't very bad when you're driving down the road. Now you can drive this bolt right through it. The end of this bolt right here is actually going to be sitting in these grooves on the light bar itself. So grab your light bar, and as you can see, the bolt goes right through, and it gives you total adjustability. So no matter what you're installing it on, you'll be able to make it work. Another cool option to mount this light bar is with these black brackets on the side here. As you can see, you put 2 bolts in there, and it's got this notch on the bottom. Now you can move it forward and backwards. That means that your light bar can be positioned up and down for the right direction. What you want is you want your light bar to sit right above your high beam. That will give you the best usable light output instead of just shining the trees or looking for birds. Now, like I said, every single light bar install is different. Now, this plate actually comes with this bar from GMC, so I just took these bolts off and brought it down to the table. I'm gonna mount it here and then put it back on the truck. So what I went ahead and did was get some spacers because this bar actually does not sit high enough to reach over top of the top of this truck. I want it to sit above the high beam, so I'm going to add this black spacer right here. You can get these from Ace Hardware, you can get them from anywhere, any local store that you can find, you'll find spacers. These ones are black, so they'll match, they won't look out of place. So I'm gonna put these spacers on, and now I'm gonna put this plate on, and then I'm gonna do a washer. These washers do come with the package from Vision X and the 10mm nut. Now, I'm not gonna fully tighten these, just get them snug, because we have a lot more adjustability from here. Go to the other side, use the washer, that 10mm nut. Now, this is something really cool from Vision X. So this bar is also, even as it sits with these brackets, adjustable. The way to adjust them is with this Allen key right here. So you loosen that up on both sides, and you're gonna be able to actually adjust it if you want it up or down. So I suggest putting this on your truck and kind of mocking it up where you think would look good, and we'll adjust it later once we plug it all in. With those loosened up, look, as you can see, totally adjustable. Adjustability is key when you're looking for light bars. So this seems pretty solid. I'm gonna go ahead and mount this up on the truck. Now that you got all your brackets figured out, go ahead and mount the light bar itself. As I said before, this roof line's a little bit high, so I do have to put a little spacer in between here. It shouldn't be a problem. You might have to do something custom to your truck as well. To get these 2 front, I'm gonna actually use this adjustable bracket right away. All right, now for the fun part. We're gonna run some wiring here. Now, sometimes if you put a light bar on the back like this, a headache rack, roll bars, whatever, you might not have enough wiring to get to the battery. So I'm gonna actually extend these wiring. If you're doing it in a bumper or say on a front crash bar, you do not have to extend these wires. Now we're gonna be tidying up the wiring on the light bar itself later on. What we wanna do right now is extend some of the wires on the harness that they give you from Vision X. Since we're running it from the back all the way up front to the battery, we are gonna need some more length here. So I'm gonna cut the connector off. Do not lose that. That's the connector that connects into the light bar wiring itself. Now I'm gonna solder in some wire because it's gonna be on the exterior of the truck. So twist the wiring together, solder it together, use heat shrink if you have some, and then you can use your tape. Don't forget to reuse that sheathing around that as well. The more factory sheathing you have, the better. Now before you put this connector back onto this wire, I definitely suggest starting at the battery terminals and running your way back to the light bar. That way if you do need to extend your wiring again, you can. So your wiring is extended. Let's go into the hood of this truck and install the rest of it. Once you've decided where you want to run everything, start hooking it up. So grab your positive and negative terminals. Now you don't want to actually install your positive wire yet until everything is connected. So here I'm going to actually put it right there, and my negative terminal is going to go right here, just where I put the rock light one. Now, like I said, do not connect this wire terminal yet, not the positive. Now go ahead and grab your relay. The only tip I can say right here is no matter what you mount it to, make sure you mount it vertically. Don't have it like that and don't have it like this. You don't want water getting into these connections. So make sure you have it vertically on whatever you decide to screw it into. Now you got the battery stuff figured out, you've got the relays mounted vertically. Now you can go ahead and run your switch wherever you would like, inside your cab or somewhere else. I'm gonna run it to my high beam switch on the headlights itself, and then you can run the rest of the wiring back however you see fit to the light bar. Now you can go ahead and run your wiring. So I'm gonna actually remove some plastic clips here and hide this wiring. You can tuck your wiring wherever you'd like. Obviously, the more hidden, the better. If you have push pins like this, push the pry tool in, pry it up, and then you can grab them and pull them away. Just go slow and take your time. Now go ahead and run your wiring any way that you want. I'm gonna run it right underneath here, work your way across and go slow so you don't go over anything that might be moving. I'm gonna route this wire down underneath the truck, and I'm actually gonna run it along the rock light wiring that I previously ran through here. Make sure you put it around something like the subframe. A lot of the time we recommend not actually zip tying this up until you have it mostly routed. You can do it that way, or you can do like I'm doing and zip tying it as I go. In this case, I actually had to extend it one more time to reach the light bar wiring. Once you mock up where it needs to be, make sure you put that connector back on the wiring. Same as everything else, splice the wiring together, get your soldering tool out, solder it together, make sure you use heat shrink, and then tape around it. Now you can plug in your light bar. Now make sure you double check any connection you've made. If there's any wiring you haven't tidied up, now is a good time. You can use zip ties or magnets, as long as your wiring is not dangling everywhere. As far as this little white wire on the light bar itself, we're gonna actually extend that wiring down to the rock light wiring. Now we did install some rock lights. Make sure you check out the video where Chris goes and does a shootout and shows you which rock lights are good, which rock lights are bad, which ones to completely avoid. I'm just gonna splice into the power wire here. Every time I push the rock light button, the backlight on the light bar itself should now work. Now that all of that wiring is ran to the light bar, the last thing is this switch. Now I'm not going to actually use this switch, like I said. You can run this into any vehicle you have if you'd like. You can run it to upfitter switches, or in this case, I'm going to run it to the high beam. Every single install is different, so I'm going to breeze through this real quick. I'm going to disconnect the original switch that came from Vision X. And all I need is the red wire in this case, so I'm going to cut all these and just tape them back. Now, no matter where you put this switch, if you're going to be splicing and wiring, make sure you use a voltmeter so you're not just splicing into random wires and making a lot of cuts you don't need to make. Since I don't need this switch, the black and the white wire, we can just tuck right back here, tape it up real nice. We're just going to connect that red wire to the headlight high beam power. Remember, make sure you test, strip back the wiring, solder it together, and it should be good to go. Now make sure you test everything before you finish zip tying and tidying everything up. Now go ahead and connect that red wire to the positive terminal on your battery. The plastic battery cover should be able to fit over it. If for some reason it doesn't, you could notch out the plastic a little bit to fit that wire in just a little easier. Once the wiring's tucked in, close the cover and give it a test. This is an off-road bar, you will be outside. Make sure all of your wiring is taken care of. Now, apart from rolling around on the ground, zip tying a couple wiring and extending some wires, the install is not that bad at all. Now, if you want to see what else we did besides just the light bar, we've done videos on rock lights on this truck specifically. We've done interior illumination kits from Profile Performance on the inside of these trucks. If there's something that we haven't done, please post it in the comments below, because we do read these comments and we do respond to every single one. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time at Headlight Revolution.